Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with variable wins for the Wild West tournament and a full 9 of the Wiseacre Ranch. Playing from second tee, which I said Pro and Expert and Division. Before we take a look at the videos, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy the content. Also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. You can follow along in the video by using the info box on the right hand side for club and ball suggestion, also what elevation and club distance I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions as always, and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there's always a plan behind it. You can improve your game that many players has done already by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Type it into your browser or you scan the QR code on the sign and sign up for one of our packages and improve your tournament and your tour play today. Let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1. Here we do have a very good opportunity to start off with an eagle. I would recommend to use 6 bars of topspin here. That will give you a nice distance. It will still be a short iron on the second shot, and you don't have to fiddle around with a long iron or a wedge from very far distance. 6 topspin, as said, 3 left spin, using half a ball of left curl, bouncing on the fairway, getting past the bunkers there on the left, which is, in my opinion, very important. And now we do have an easy open way to attack the pin for the second shot. The second shot, I'm playing at 10% elevation and it's true club distance number. Obviously using a pin check or a fringe check will help you loads in getting dialed in when it comes to the tournament. Obviously, when we don't really know what wind it is, then the pin check and the fringe check won't really matter that much in this stage. But once the tournament comes and you know the wind, then yeah, that is the way to dial in the shot. Pull over the bullseye, always with a thorn, and here I'm estimating the club distance and trying to get the correct slider. And once again, 10% elevation with the true club distance slider here. Center the ball and hit perfect, and we do have a very good chance with our katana here to lock in the eagle. Hole number 1 together with hole number 4 is definitely 2 of the easier par 4s that we do have of the Wiseacre, but hole number 7, which is the third par 4, offers a chance as well, but that one is definitely tougher than hole 1, than hole 4. You will notice that here in the video. Hole number 2, we're gonna go for a rough bump. I'm gonna use left spin here to put myself as far away from the fairway on the left possible to give myself room for great balls to drop. You can see here now that I'm using a little bit of topspin as well, aiming at the center of the bright green square row with the tip of my ball guideline, slightly short as well to compensate for the tailwind. Adjustment, medium distance plus 10. And do you have to play with a kingmaker here? No, you do not. You can play with a katana as well, or any other side spin 3, power 1 plus ball, because we are starting at the plus 3 yard mark. That's obviously with sniper level 10. If you do have a lower level sniper, you need to have minimum a power 2 ball, and you can play with a power 1 ball because you have less power on your wood club. This is, in my opinion, a very good chance to start off the par 3 journey with an hole in 1. So again, medium distance plus 10, which is 1-to-1 with a power 3 ball, and couldn't be much more simple than this. Hole number 3, we're gonna play straight down the right hand side in any wind direction that is crosswind or headwind. If we do have a straight tailwind, I would recommend to blast it down the left hand side. However, that was not found in practice, and therefore I cannot use that as a reference. But that's gonna be a way of going at it if we are getting a tailwind. So now, ball bouncing on the fairway, getting it down to roll. Here I would recommend to push it harder if you do have the balls to do that, and the reason for that is that the closer we are to the end of the rough, the better chance it's going to be, because then we're going to have to play with a long iron, but in this case we're going to have to play with a wood club. Now, having headwind is going to remove the chances of playing a rough bump, which would be my preferred way of attacking the pin. Attacking the pin by bouncing over the rough and the sand is going to only be happening in headwind if you are not long enough with your drive. It's not the recommended way of playing to get the most amount of albatrosses, but it's going to be the most secure way of locking in the eagles. So Either going for the rough bump to have a better albatross chance, or to just bounce on the fairway. If you're bouncing on the fairway, you're playing at 10% elevation and true club distance. If you go for the rough bump, you're playing minus 5% elevation instead. So the difference in elevation is very important to have in mind, because obviously when it is to play with a rough bump instead of bouncing on fairway, there's always going to be an elevation difference, to be absolutely correct. So tough but makeable chance on hole 3. I would consider hole number 3 to be the most makeable albatross there is, and that just tells you, that will tell you how hard the upcoming par 5s will be of the Wiseacre. Hole number 4. This is a good chance for a drop in my opinion, as is all the par 4s, or especially hole number 1 and hole 4 are really good. Here I'm using all the topspin that I can, or let's say like this, we do want to use maximum 6 bars of topspin here. So if you do have 6 bars, then you use that. If you have less, then you use whatever maximum you have. If you have more than 6 bars, please do not use that, because there is a risk of a glitch roll here, and if you're having too much topspin, the glitch roll will roll you into the rough. Maximum distance plus 10, then I'm applying overpower as well, whatever I adjust into. And obviously, playing this shot in headwind is going to be trickier than what it will be if you do play in crosswind or in tailwind. If we do have a straight tailwind, then we can actually play over the water on the left. So rewind, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you can go directly over, blast it over with a power 5 ball and land it on green, which obviously will be the recommended way of playing if we do have that type of wind, and that goes for all the division. But if we don't have that, then this is the way to play. Second shot, we're gonna here do either a fringe check, or we're gonna do a pin check to give ourselves a reference. That's the easiest way to drop this one. This is a flat rough bump, and it's a big rough bump as well, so it can't really be much more risk-free, and it can't really be much better opportunity in my opinion. So it's all about getting your pin check and the fringe check to align with the slider you want to use, and then position your ball guideline correctly. If we do have a headwind, leave the ball guideline through the hole to compensate for the compressed ball guideline. If it is a tailwind, leave the ball guideline slightly short, and if it is a crosswind, ball guideline to hold. 5% elevation is what I'm using here, then obviously whatever slider that I deem be necessary based on my pin check or fringe check or whatever I'm using as a reference. Bounce into the rough, rolls up on this flat lovely green, and we're getting it in the hole for a lovely, lovely eagle here on hole number 4. Hole number 5, another rough bump and another good chance for an hole-in-one. I'm starting with the left side of the yellow ring to be by the edge of the rough in complete max distance. This is with sniper level 10. Those of you that do want to mirror exact the same spot needs to play with a power 4 ball if you play with a lower level sniper. Obviously this might not be ultimate in a tournament situation, but this is something at least to build on, and that's why I'm using this video as pre the tournament starts. Now, using a little bit of right spin, a little bit of top spin to get the ball guideline slightly short of hole. We do have a tailwind, so we need to think about that because we will be having an extended ball guideline. Maximum distance plus 20, so 7.1 rings for 5.8 miles per hour, which is, yeah, the correct adjustment that I'm using in the video. And as always, when it comes to par 3s, I'm not gonna rule out the possibility that the adjustment will be different if we do have a different wind angle. Right the pin. Beautiful hole-in-one on a good chance on hole 5. Hole number 6 is going to be a really tough par 5 to get anything else than an eagle on. I would say that in more or less every type of wind, this is going to be a fight for an eagle. The only time it wouldn't be a fight for an eagle, or we can actually secure the eagle easily and get ourselves an albatross attempt, is if we do have tailwind of T. But that's not the case now. So having a crosswind, I want you to push as far down the fairway possible with your drive. I'm using all the top spin that I can, all the right spin that I can. I'm using a power 5 ball and going max overpower. The goal here is to clip the rough with my second bounce to roll out on the fairway, and now I do have a way of transport the ball to green. If having a headwind, you're gonna have to use a driver with a lot of curl, playing it down the right side of the fairway, because we cannot reach over the water and the rough that is just straight forward. So this is, depending on what wind you have off tee, could be a very difficult par 5 to play. So now second shot, you can see here now that even if we do have a power 5 ball, and even if we went max over power and pushed it on the drive, we're still not being able to reach over the rough patch and bounce the ball up towards the green. So now you do have two suggestions here, or a choice between two things, which is one, to go for a rough bump and just use all the topspin that you have to roll the ball to green, or that you use what I do here and just more a controlled way by bouncing on the fairway with less topspin, with in case a little bit of backspin, and just securing the eagle. Playing the shot that I'm doing here in the video is not going to result into an albatross if you're not super duper lucky, and that's the same with a rough bump, because the rough bump is very glitchy, and that's going to be very dependent on hitting the same and correct spot every time if you're going to drop that one for anything else than an eagle. Hole number 7 offers two alternatives in my opinion, and that is when we do have a tailwind, we should just blast the ball down to the right, making sure though that we're hitting the rough with our first bounce, because we do not want to flirt with the water. That's just so unnecessary. So we do want to try to lay up for a short iron towards the pin. Use the drive with the most power possible. In this instance, it's my Apocalypse level 4, but it could be an extra mile, could be a Thor's hammer as well, depending on what levels on your drivers you have. Bounce into the rough, we roll out, and now we are prepared for a short iron towards the pin. If we do not have a tailwind, then we're gonna have to lay up on the left, so you cannot go over the rough or like all the hazard stuff. You need to lay up on the left, and then you will have a sniper, or you will have a long iron towards the pin from there. Unfortunately, I have no videos for that before the tournament starts. Now, second shot from the right here, we're going to play this one through club distance with a 10% elevation, P5 numbers, because we're playing with a power 5 ball. I would recommend to play either above the bunker or use left spin and play more right from the bunker, because if we're playing very close to the bunker, then there is a slight little slope there that is very hard to compensate for if you do hit the wrong spot. So adding spins, when adding backspin to leave the ball guideline just slightly short to compensate for the tailwind that we're having, and then we're gonna try to hit perfect. A perfect ball here will most definitely be a good chance for a drop, in my opinion, but obviously we need to get there also. That's why the tailwind is so important when it comes to getting our ball to where we want. So if we do have a tailwind, this is going to be a very good chance for a drop. If we do have a crosswind or a headwind having to lay up, then the birdie will be the most likely outcome, but the eagle will most definitely be in play. Hole number 8 is another rough bump with another good chance. Here we do have one thing to have in mind, that is that if we do have a tailwind, we can play with a wood club. If we do have a crosswind or a headwind, we're going to have to play with a driver. Very similar to how hole 5 is the other par 3 rough bump. Now, using a little bit of right spin, a little bit of backspin to get the ball guideline through the hole. In the video, we make the adjustment and we play minimum distance, no elevation, P2 numbers. What we notice here now is that I'm actually pulling into min line here. You can see that where the the red line starts to glow up. And the thing that I forget to do there is to do a little bit of overpower to compensate, because I will become over adjusted when I do pull into the min line. So if I wouldn't pull into the min line, the adjustment would be good, and that's something to have in mind based on this video. Obviously the adjustment and the spins can be slightly different depending on what wind angle we do have in the tournament. No matter what though, very good chance. For the drive on hole number 9, we are going to play on the right hand side. Many of the times, there will be times where we can play on the left hand side, but we are dependent on, if so, having tailwind. So now when having headwind, we're gonna play down the right using as much topspin that you possible can. I'm using the driver with the most power and topspin that I do have on this account. Max overpower here, as the headwind will obviously not be helpful in the sense of giving us more power, so I'm using the overpower to push the ball as far up with my first bounce. And now we're gonna just lay up. We are far away from the water and the rough, which obviously is good, so there is no risk in getting into the rough or into the sand at the top there, even if you would be having more topspin than the 6 bars that you have on my extra mile. Now the second shot is just gonna be to transport the ball to the green area. Be careful here so you're not rolling into the rough or the rough sand that is there by the tree, by the green. So I'm trying to use a little side spin and also a decent amount of topspin here. I'm using more or less all the topspin on my Cataclysm level 4 here. Playing on this fairway before the rough there, not trying to go over the rough, is gonna be a medium distance plus 10 adjustment. If we would be having room to go over the rough there at the top, then we would be playing it max plus 10, but there will be very few times, especially if having headwind of tee, where we can actually do so. Great right makes me become a little bit lucky because I roll, and I actually roll through the rough here and having a nice and short easy wedge for an eagle. So to summarize, in headwind we're playing for an eagle only. In crosswind and tailwind we can play over on the left by using a lot of topspin, such as a big topper play with a power 5 ball, or just playing with a big board driver or something like that. That would get you over, and then you have a long iron or you have a wood club towards the pin. So in the end here, this is hole number 9, tough one to get anything else than an eagle. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wind for the Wild West Tournament and a full 9 of the Wiseacre Ranch. I'm super excited about this tournament because I really do enjoy these holes. Scan the QR code on the side of me here on the screen, or you go and type into your browser patreon.com/golfclashtommy and you sign up for one of our tournament guide packages for Pro, Expert or Master, or you just bundle it together in whatever way you want. Thank you once again for watching, and a good luck in your Golf Clash game.